Be careful what you wish for because it can become a reality.
Yeah. The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. All right, so these are my thoughts on Lomachenko versus Kambosos Jr. You know, better late than never. You know, I didn't have a chance to watch the fight live because I was in Nicaragua over the weekend with my boy Eric Lances Jr. for his fight, and that was kind of crazy how that whole fight played out, and I'll have a lot to say about that later on in the week. But just to speak about this, right? Lomachenko, Kambosos Jr. Really interesting fight going in. You know, the conventional wisdom was that Lomachenko was going to outclass George Kambosos Jr., which he ultimately did, but you know, most people thought he was going to outbox him. You know, George Kambosos Jr. had the respect of people as far as from a durability standpoint that he wouldn't be able to. He wouldn't fall under the pressure of Lomachenko, you know, volume and angles, and that he would have enough to at least go the distance. And that's not what we got. What we got in this fight was a slow, methodical beating, and it kind of reminded me of the Lomachenko of old from back in the day when he was fighting the guys like Miguel Mariaga, Nicholas Walters, and these kind of fighters, right? You know, Kambosos had gotten a new coach coming into this fight. I forgot his name. I think his name was like Artem or something like that. But he hired this Russian amateur coach that he had met, I guess, somewhere in Australia when he was shopping for boxing gloves one day. And this guy was a renowned Russian amateur coach, and he had tried to drill the Soviet style into George, which you can kind of see in the fight, because George Kambosos Jr., I don't think was, to his credit, I don't think he was falling forward as much as I'm accustomed to. I actually thought George Kambosos' posture and his stance and his base as a fighter was just better in this fight. But it was to no avail because there was such a discrepancy in the skill level. And you had a pissed off Lomachenko. I remember this is Lomachenko's first fight since the Devin Haney fight. So you had a pissed off Lomachenko. You had a guy that wanted to prove a point. And, you know, he wanted to become champion because he felt like that belt had been stolen from him with Devin Haney. These are one of the Devin Haney's vacant belts. And he made an example out of George. I mean, the whole fight, you saw Lomachenko using his superior footwork, being the aggressor, pushing George Kambosos Jr. back for the majority of the fight. And it was death by 1,000 blows. I mean, to the body, he was hitting and hurting George Kambosos Jr. To the head, he was hitting and hurting George Kambosos Jr. But I'll say this, George was landing some good shots here and there. I thought the commentary was a little too one-sided because George did have good moments and spots, but make no mistake about it, for the most part, it was one-way traffic. It was a one-sided ass beating, and like I don't like being one of these people that like to down people's wins, because George Kambosos Jr. beat Teofimo Lopez fair and square. It was one of the greatest wins of 2021. And it was a very motivational and inspirational moment in boxing history. But in the fights that have, you know, taken place since the Lopez win for Kambosos, you know, he's gotten outclassed by Devin Haney twice. He got a good decision, I feel, against Maxie Hughes. And now he's gotten beat up by Lomachenko. So there's no shame in fighting the best. I don't want to shame George for fighting the best. That's one thing I respect about him, is he didn't duck or dodge nobody. He always was willing to fight the best fighters in the world. But at the same time, it's like, man, is George Kambosos Jr. really and truthfully, is he the Milli Vanilli of boxing? Is he a one-hit wonder? I mean, it's starting to look like it. So if you're Teofimo Lopez, you got to be kind of kicking yourself for losing to George Kambosos Jr. But that's neither here nor there. I got respect for George. He's not on that level, but he's tested himself, and he can look at himself proudly in the mirror knowing that he fought the best, and he gave his best efforts despite maybe not being the most skilled fighter in the world. You know, I'd rather be a guy like George Kambosos Jr., where you can look in the mirror with yourself with dignity, than be someone who was like 30-0, protected, never fought nobody, try to duck and dodge all the top competition. So I respect George. But as far as Lomachenko, where the hell does he go from here? Because when you look at it and you slice it up and you just dissect where Lomachenko's at in his career, you know, right now Lomachenko is old. He's ancient. He's 36 years old, which makes what he's doing even more impressive, because he's not really naturally a featherweight. He's become, not featherweight. He's not naturally a lightweight, I should say. And he's become a lightweight champion again at the age of 36. So he's going to, listen, when his career is done and he's eligible for Hall of Fame, Vasyl Lomachenko is going into the Boxing Hall of Fame on the very first ballot. There's going to be a nice spot for him in Canastota. No doubt about it, right? But as far as what's remaining, what's left for him, I mean, look, Lomachenko's one dream in boxing has always been to be undisputed, and for better or for worse, it was taken from him when he fought Devin Haney. He beat Devin Haney, and they didn't give it to him. So it is what it is. But he slots in now as the IBF champion. This weekend you got Emmanuel Navarrete versus Devin Baranchyk fighting for the vacant WBO. Your WBC champion is Shakur Stevenson, and your WBA champion is Gervonta Tank Davis. So it's very likely that if Navarrete wins, that Lomachenko's road to undisputed is going to be something like Navarrete, Shakur, Gervonta Davis, which to me is an absolutely hellacious road to become undisputed champion. So he's a fighter and whatnot, but I honestly, I feel like now is the perfect time to go out for Lomachenko. Gervonta Davis and Leonard Ellerbe and Mayweather Promotions, they didn't want to fight Lomachenko all those years ago. They ducked and dodged him, made every excuse in the world to not try to fight him, right? So I don't feel like George Kambosos Jr. should do Gervonta Davis that favor. That's just me. And I like Gervonta Davis. He's a great fighter. He'll be in bigger fights than I fight Lomachenko. But at this point, I feel like that'd be doing Gervonta Davis a favor because now Tank has matured significantly. Lomachenko's on the twilight of his career. It'd be a good fight. It'd be a big event. It'd be great for boxing. But as far as that, that's doing him a favor. And then I just don't feel like, look, for me, I don't feel Lomachenko has anything left to prove. We all know, most people know he beat Devin Haney. People that are honest and not like pieces of shit and can be honest about what happened that night. All right? And I'm no Lomachenko fanboy. Let's make that clear. But I don't feel he has anything left to prove. Like, the guy's been champion in what 126, 130, three-division champion, broke all kinds of records for the fastest guy to win titles, been in great fights, carved his legacy in the sport, 396-1 as an amateur, gold medalist. There's nothing left for him to prove. Now, as far as him against like Shakur Stevenson's been talking about he's not gonna be a top-ranked fighter no more, and he's pulled the race card recently talking about that. Top-ranked don't treat black fighters properly in the 7th, 3rd. So he's probably not going to be a top-ranked fighter. So that fight will become more difficult to make if he's not a top-ranked fighter. Look, if he wants to try, all I'm saying, look, if Lomachenko wants to try it, then he's earned the right to do whatever the hell he wants, right? But I just feel at this point, there's nothing left for him to prove. And at this point, like, if you fight a guy like Shakur or Gervonta Davis as an older guy, and these guys are in their prime, you're really doing them a favor because now they're going to be favorites to beat you. And if they beat you, it's like now they're stars, which, it's for the Tank aspect of it bothers me more because I know that Mayweather Promotions did not want to make that fight. They were not interested in that fight years ago. I remember covering it here years ago on YouTube. So we'll see how it goes. I do think it is interesting, though, that, it could be, you could have a Tank, Shakur, Navarrete road to undisputed, which to me, hypothetically speaking, if Lomachenko were to still box well into his late 30s and try to go undisputed at 35 again, if he were to somehow beat some sort of combination of Navarrete, Shakur, and Tank for undisputed, I would crown it as the greatest undisputed run in boxing history. So there is a chance for that, and with him being so old, it makes it that much greater. But I highly doubt he would get to that run unscathed and without a loss. I think he'd lose to at least like a Shakur or Tank. But, we'll see how it goes. But nonetheless, I just think you fight George Kambosos Jr., a guy that's fought Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, premier younger fighters of boxing right now. Those guys didn't stop George Kambosos Jr. For Lomachenko to stop him at age 36 at the feather in his cap, and he looked good. He looked about as good in this fight as he has in years. So I would like to see him hang it up on that note because I feel like there's no better way to go out. You went out as a champion. You can go on a high. He said in his post-fight interview that, after the Haney fight, he was pretty much like kind of just frustrated and done with boxing. And he really wanted to win this world title for his father, the great trainer, Anatoly Lomachenko. And I feel like he's done that. So bow out gracefully while you're on top and let the division sort itself out. Lomachenko, in my opinion, has nothing left to prove. He's a great fighter. And he'll be in the Hall of Fame in Canastota one day. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think. What did you guys think about Lomachenko's performance against George Kambosos Jr.? What do you think about what I said? Do you guys think that he should retire now? Or do you guys think he should actually try to attempt what could be possibly the hardest road to undisputed of the 21st century, I feel, honestly. To fight Shakur, Tank, Navarrete, potentially in between all that too. Keep in mind, if he decides to keep fighting somewhere in between trying to get undisputed, he'll probably have to make a mandatory defense against Williams Zepeda, who's the #1 contender. So it's not gonna be a cakewalk. It's gonna be a road full of thorns and bombs to get to undisputed for Lomachenko at this point at 135. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. I'm at the Boxing Hall of Fame out here in Canterbury, New York. And for more great boxing content just like this video, make sure you click and subscribe right over here.